What's up, guys? Good morning. Out here back in Arizona, I was on a weekend trip to Vegas. My voice is a little bit shot, but it was an amazing trip, and I'm really glad that I was able to go. I went with my friends and we just had a great time. And there's a lot of stuff going on right now. I'm actually getting texts from my realtor as we speak, making some different moves here. And what I want to talk about today is the idea that, as human beings, unfortunately, we do not rise to the level of our wants and our desires, but we fall to the levels of our standards. And this goes for everything in life. What type of standards do you have for your financial situation, for your health situation, for your relationships, and the type of people that you surround yourself with? And like I said, it's an unfortunate thing. A lot of the time we want things, right? If you're watching this channel, you're probably on a path of self-development, self-exploration, wanting to manifest different things into your life, wanting to level up in your life. And on that path, you have all these desires, you have all these goals, all these visions that you may have written them down, you may affirm for them, you may practice all the different types of tools that we talk about on this channel. You may be taking action as well. And the tricky thing is that if you don't make something consistent, if you don't make something a consistent habit, if you don't set up your environment to have good habits, and if you don't make that a bare minimum standard of yourself for your life and the way that you're living, you're not going to be able to have a consistency just because you want something. Just even if you're affirming it, even if you are doing the stuff, you're using the tools that we talk about, whether you're visualizing all this stuff. If you don't make it in your mind that, look, this is the bare minimum threshold. Let's use an example, right? I've been talking about this a lot, but it's very, very critical and very important. I was on this trip to Vegas just now, and I'm with some pretty go-getter type of individuals, some guys that really want to level up. And they might not be, multimillionaires yet. They might not be, examples of the absolute pinnacle of success financially. But in other areas, they do quite well for themselves. And even in financially, they do as well. All three of them actually are doing their own business. They're running their own entire businesses that they themselves have created. So they've entered into that paradigm where they're not trading their time for their money. They're not settling for being a cog in a machine, being undervalued at some sort of job title position, at some sort of career with a salaried paycheck. They work and they have business and they have clients, and one of them does commission-based sales, and the other two are starting a business where they have clients that they help and they teach and they coach. And being around that type of energy, again, you rise to what you're used to, what's in your environment. And if you surround yourself with individuals who are on a path of growth, who are growth minded, who want to level up and who want to, do and achieve different things in life, they say that the 5 people that you surround yourself with, you're going to be like the 5 people that you surround yourself with the most, right? And so surrounding yourself, building yourself a tribe of individuals who are on a similar path as you and who want the best that life has to offer is going to be a tremendous impetus, and also not even impetus, but it's going to make a massive difference on so many different levels. There was this one guy that he came out with us last night. We went out in Scottsdale after we got back from Vegas, and we had a great night last night, and we had a great trip in Vegas. And there's this one guy that some of my friends know because they previously coached him, try to help him get out of his shell, but he's reverted back into bad negative habits, and he stays home a lot, and he's driving Uber and all these things. And we were having this discussion with him, and he was just like, yeah, man, I want to hang out with you guys again because, I've reverted back to these old habits. And You know, it is what it is. This is what happens to people in life. And so getting that kind of support system but also group of people around you that actually want you to be better too. And that's an important thing. That's an important distinction that I want to make here, guys. It's like, what do you think is a better friend? Of somebody that just lets you do like that, just, you know, let's say that you're staying at home, you know, eating crappy food, you're driving for Uber. And not to say that that's not an okay thing to do. I think that that's like a thing, like a fine thing to do, especially as a maybe temporary job situation to make some money. But let's say that you have no more ambition besides that. Let's say that you've just done that, you've reverted into that, you're maybe staying at your parents' house, and, you know, I'm illustrating a picture here for you guys just to give you an example, okay? I'm not denigrating anybody that is doing any of these things. I've even lived, you know, during quarantine, I was living with my dad for a bit, okay? But understand the point that I'm making here is that you have no larger ambitions, right? Would you rather have a friend that's just, oh yeah, that's cool, like that's okay? Or would you rather have a friend that calls you out and is like, what are you doing? What are you doing? You know, maybe you don't go out, you don't socialize with anybody, as this friend of ours was last night. He hasn't spoken to anyone really, right? He drives Uber, he goes back home, listens to his mom, who doesn't want him to leave the house. What kind of a life is that? You know, you're a man in your early 30s, late 20s, whatever age you are, and you're still listening to your mom, and the fact that she doesn't want you to leave, so you're just sitting there and not really doing anything, not really going for life, not living at the edge of your comfort zone. You're completely, if you're not growing, you're shrinking. And that's an important understanding to have in life, is that everything in life, in the universe, there's a state of entropy, right? Which says that order will devolve into chaos. So if you are not actively growing, if you're not actively seeking growth in your various aspects of your life, in the relationships that you have, in your habits, in your financial situation, maybe even in your hobbies, or in your fitness journey, your health journey, you are going to devolve. And it's a sad thing to see, especially in this country, in the USA, you know, the obesity rate and the rate of diabetes. We have children that are diabetic now. But this is what happens when you don't take matters into your own hands. If you sit here on the sidelines of life, being passive, allowing life to essentially guide you, you're not going to get these manifestations, these goals that you are seeking. One important thing we were talking about on the car ride in Vegas was also just, you know, learning to deprogram. There's been a lot of things that we've grown up with, a lot of things that we've been taught that are faulty belief systems, saying that, you know, when we grow up, we have to ask for permission. At school, we have to ask for permission to use the bathroom. We have to ask for permission to raise our hand, to ask a question. But see, life doesn't work like that. Life punishes you for constantly asking permission, constantly asking, is this okay? And if you grow up in a household that's very strict, like this guy that I'm speaking about, you know, he's a Asian American, his family's from the Philippines, and they're very strict. They don't want him to do anything that is out of line with, you know, what their belief systems are. And when you are constantly being told by your parents and your mother and your father, oh, this is okay, this is not okay, and you're allowing that, you're not transitioning into adulthood. That's why I talked about in a recent video, it's important to leave the nest. As a young person, one of the most valuable things you can do is go to a different city, move to a different city, to a different state, get away from your parents, get away from the people that you grew up with. Because oftentimes, unfortunately, you know, I love my family, but their idea of me, seeing me as a kid or whatever, you know, my father, the way he sees me, you know, it's very hard as a parent. I'm not a parent personally, so I can't personally speak from my personal experience, but I can see how it would be very hard. And even, you know, with my peers from high school, it's very hard to get rid of that image that you have of somebody that's from like, let's say high school, or let's say from time gone by, from the past. And so they see you like this little boy or this little girl still, and they mentally are putting you into that, You know, they can't help it. It's not like they mean any harm. In fact, our parents, for the most part, I think they truly mean the best for us in most cases. As long as we come from a relatively healthy family environment and upbringing, our parents, they wish the best for us. They want the best for us. But ultimately, you know, their need to protect us, their need to kind of like exert that influence in our lives is a little bit debilitating for us. And as adults, as young adults, as people seeking to find ourselves what it is that we want out of life, it's really important that we're able to get in tune with that. And part of that is done by getting around different people, meeting new people, reinventing yourself, because you're not that child anymore. You're not that teenager anymore that your parents still might see you as, who needs help with this, help with that, who can't do things on their own, can't fend for themselves. And again, going back to a recent video I posted, this victim mentality, this type of mentality where now we have adults that are very childish, very immature, very emotionally immature, very mentally immature. And again, you know, it's a symptom of kind of like this coddling by our parents, also by society. It's like we are not encouraged to, you know, as men, for example, we used to go off to war. There used to be these rites of passage for men that we don't have in our culture anymore. That just simply doesn't exist. And these things were done across the entire globe, across the entire planet. They were done. There was also rites of passage in various different ways. Women would get together, right? There was a times in every single culture in our history as human beings where they would separate the boys from the girls. They would separate, the boys would go live with the men and the girls would go live with the women. And each gender would teach and instruct and pass on wisdom that those genders needed to adopt. The men would pass on, you know, they would instruct boys, they would show them how to become men. The women would instruct the girls, show them how to become women. These are things that we've, you know, as much as we want to say that we've progressed, and in a lot of ways we have as a human species, there's certain things, it's like everything is like a pendulum. I love the pendulum example because in the Kybalion, it talks about rhythm and polarity. And there's always this rhythm that happens. It's a universal thing. It always happens, right? And what's happened is that with this freedom of individuation that we have on the planet right now, where, you know, we used to live in these collectivist societies, there wasn't much individuation, much freedom, but it's like the pendulum has swung so far the other way that now we have this, somebody commented on a recent video about this narcissistic, this insecure narcissism, or this kind of solipsism, which says, I don't care about what anybody else, you know, anybody else, I just care about me. But the irony with this line of thinking is that it's actually destructive to us as individuals. Because again, what we put out comes back to us. And if we're going through life with this very insecure feeling, that's another example with the pendulum, guys, right? Because hear me out. That insecurity, that narcissistic insecurity, that stems from a very low self-worth. So you want to put yourself out, be flashy, you want to, and it could be either way. And this is, that is the anxious attachment style, and then there's the avoidant attachment style, which is maybe like the guy that I'm mentioning, this friend of my friend that was hanging out with us, right? Where he doesn't want to do anything. He's almost scared of life because he doesn't want to face rejection. He doesn't want to face fear in the face. He doesn't want to face the failure of what could happen if he actually did something, right? So that's why he sits on the couch. But the other flip side of that is, oh, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna prove to everybody. But it's stemming from that insecure place. The secure attached person, the person with secure, calm confidence. See, confidence is calm. It doesn't have to be super braggadocious all the time. It can be. It can show up like that every once in a while. If you're feeling good, you're having a good time. But it doesn't, that's not where it rests. That calm confidence rests here in the centered calmness. And that is what masculine energy is. We talk about masculine and feminine energy, but we all have masculine and feminine energy, as I said in a previous video. And being in touch with that calm strength within yourself will do wonders for your ability to manifest what it is that you want, for your ability to get what it is that you want in life, because you're coming from, you've removed things. Sometimes less is more. When you remove the bad habits, when you remove all the negative thinking that you're doing, you simply are. And that's what Sunny Sharma talks about. That's what he talked about in my video that I posted with him recently. It's kind of higher level of understanding. It's not doing anymore. And it's not even believing. It's just simply knowing. It's knowing that you are good enough, knowing that you are a one of one. You are a unique individual. You don't have to compare yourself all the time. You stop that trap of comparison. And instead of rating people, you know how they do on a scale of 1 to 10, oh, like he's a 10 or she's a 10 or she's a 7 or he's a 6 or he's a 5 or whatever. You reject that whole paradigm of thought because you're infinity, because you are the only version of you that exists. And that's kind of like what Dan Coe talks about too, the niche of you. Nobody can ever be like you. In any way, shape or fashion that you compare yourself to somebody else, somebody's always going to edge you out in some way. Even if you're the best person in one area of life, or even if you're checking out 9 out of 10 or 10 out of 10, you think on all these boxes, there's always somebody that's got more money than you. There's always somebody that's got more access to scarce resources than you do. There's always somebody that has a little bit better jawline than you do, a little bit better looking than you do, somebody that's going to be younger than you, or somebody that's going to be older than you, if that's the case. If you feel young and you feel insecure about being too young, there's always going to be somebody that has some sort of edge or competitive edge over you in any shape or fashion. So when you reject this notion that you have to be comparing yourself all the time, and instead simply exist and build that confidence from doing the things that we talk about on this channel, you're going to raise your standards. Your standards for yourself are going to be raised to a level that you won't accept anything less. And when you don't accept anything less, that's when you become truly powerful, because you know your worth. That's part and parcel of the same thing. That idea of not accepting less and knowing your worth, knowing your value. You won't accept people with a low character around you. You won't accept people that are disrespectful around you. You won't accept bad behavior. You won't accept, negative energy. You won't accept bad food. You won't accept, low quality things in your life, whether it's people, whether it's places. And again, there's another video that I made. I don't know if I posted it, but everybody's all on this Neville stuff, that people are so like hypnotized by Neville Goddard. Neville Goddard was just a guy, okay? You are just a person. Yeah, Neville Goddard was infinity too. He was a one of one. You are also a one of one. Make your own decisions about the way that you interpret reality, the way that you see things in the world. There's so much information out here. Neville Goddard is great. I love Neville Goddard. He's just one version though. He's one way of seeing reality. And what the deeper understanding that you have to come to is that when you are being this version of yourself that is that one of one infinite version, that is rests in the knowing, has that calm confidence about you, those things will simply fall out of your life. You can't always change people. Some people don't want to be changed. Some people don't want to change. They don't want to do the work. They don't want to change themselves. They want to rest in that place. At least this friend of ours that I'm talking about has the wherewithal and is willing to admit, yeah, man, I've really fallen off the path. I've really been reverting back to these bad habits. I really thank you guys for bringing me into the fold so that I can get back on that better path. That's awesome. The first step is to get rid of that denial, to stop denying that you are falling victim to bad habits, to low level behavior, low level thinking. And once you do that, you're able to get out of that. And I would, encourage anyone, if you know somebody in your life that wants to level up, I love that. We love that. That's why we brought him out with us last night, so he could hang out with us, go out, have a good time. Even though he's low in confidence right now, and he's really kind of been through it, he's going through it, he's depressed. I love that when I see somebody like that wants to actually make a change, that's willing to put in some work. What I don't accept and what I don't allow around me are people that deny that there's even a problem to begin with. Or you give them some advice, you tell them, hey, look, this is what you need to do, and they go and do the opposite. My friends, they're coaching these guys on how to get better socially, and a lot of these guys, they just won't take the advice. They'll be like, no, I did everything perfectly. Well, you're unteachable, then you're an uncoachable person. You have to be willing to receive the wisdom. When the student is ready, the teacher will appear. But you have to also be ready to receive that wisdom, to receive that guidance. And again, if you are coming from this mindset, oh, I want this, I want that in my life, but if you're not getting it, You know, the definition of insanity is to do something, the same thing every single time and expect a different result. So really take a look and be honest with yourself, and, you know, make it a priority to get around better people. And that can also be what you take in. Like, you know, you listen to these videos, you listen to some good podcasts in the morning, and that can be a start. But, you know, it's unfortunate that in this day and age, like, we're cut off more and more from each other, it seems. And it's really valuable to get those people around you in your life. And, you know, I'm going to be opening up this group coaching program soon. Maybe in that capacity, there's going to be other people around getting into a community like that, where you're surrounded by other people that want to level up. That can be beneficial as well, at least for the time being, developing those online friendships, and maybe they can transpire into, you know, end up being something more than that. But, you know, it's also like, where do you live? You know, when I was living in Indiana, there's not that much, there's really, the weather's not that great, you know, sometimes it's being honest with yourself, right? If you're coming from this mentality, oh, I'm constantly manifesting everything in my life and I'm constantly able to change everything. Well, if you're not resonating with a particular geographical location that you're at, then you need to take that as a sign that maybe you need to get out of there. You know, that's why I'm in Arizona right now. That's why I spent the majority of my adult life living in California, living in Los Angeles, because I resonate with these areas more than I do with Indiana. It's really not meant for me. That space, when I'm there, I don't feel at home. Even though I went to high school there, I don't feel at home. I feel much more at home in Arizona or in California. So, you know, getting real with yourself, having this healthy dose of realism to kind of balance out all the spiritual stuff is going to be really, really helpful for you. It's going to really, really get you grounded so that your feet are firmly planted on the ground, but your head is still up, looking at the sky, looking at the stars, with that vision reigning supreme while your feet are planted on the ground. That's when you're going to be able to bring in the results. That's when you're really going to be able to bring in results, because you're not living in this world of, you know, affirmations and this and that. It's like ignoring the 3D. That's all well and good, but you also are living in the 3D. So, you know, everything that you learn, take it all with a grain of salt. The Kybalion says all truths are but half-truths. And this is about a journey of exploration. This is about a journey of you understanding what it is that you need to do to get the results in your life. And a lot of that, you have to give yourself permission to lead. You have to give yourself the permission. Don't ask for Neville Goddard's permission. Don't be seeking for validation from people on a Reddit thread and a Reddit post to say, oh, am I doing this right? Would Neville approve of this? It doesn't matter what Neville would think. It doesn't matter what those people think. Is it working? Is it working for you or not? And once you get real with yourself and you have that standard, you set those higher standards for yourself. That's when the fear of loss will kick in, and you will say, oh, I can't accept that, because now I've raised my standard. I've raised my paradigm, as Bob Proctor would say. And there's so many teachers out here. There's so much knowledge and wisdom out here. It's going to be very beneficial for you to read self-development, read these other people, listen to these other people, listen to the way that they speak, and absorb and synthesize all that information for yourself. That's what I've done on the journey that I've been on over the past 10 years. In my life, the trajectory that I'm on is significantly different than when I was, let's say, a teenager, when I first started learning about self-help and self-development and reading about psychology and reading about spirituality and manifesting and law of attraction. You know, there's been a lot of different things that have changed over the years, but me as a person, my personality hasn't changed that much, but the ability to get results in my reality has changed drastically, because I understand more about myself. I understand more about human nature. I understand more about like metaphysics, like energy, and putting out intentions, and taking action, and learning, and course correcting. And I try to be as honest with myself as I can. And that's why I also appreciate my friends for calling me out on my BS when I'm full of shit. Because we all are full of shit sometimes. Let's be honest, okay? I'm not immune to it either. Sometimes I delude myself. You have to be real with yourself and say, where is this that I'm doing this? If you get good people around you, they're gonna call you out on that. If you get people around you that are just yes men, yes women, they're just gonna say yes to everything that you do, that's not a good friend. They're not a real true friend to you. They just wanna be there. They're a fair weather friend. That's what they're called. They just want to be there for the good times. They don't really care, about you. They're not really trying to push you to be better. They're not really trying to push you to be that best version of yourself that they can see. When I have friends, I always see the potential in them, or in relationships, whatever it might be. And I always see the best, and that can sometimes work to my detriment, because then I don't, you know, I try to look over some of the things that, you know, maybe I shouldn't look over sometimes, because I'm always looking for the best. I'm always seeing the best in that person. But my friend who I'm staying with right now, he does the same for me. He helped me develop my skills of sales. He helped me develop that skill set. He helped me gain confidence. And having people around you like that are true gems, because they'll call you out when you're being delusional, when you're being deluded. And that's what you need more of in your life. You need more people that hold you accountable and help you have that higher standard for yourself. Raise the standard from here up to here. And again, this recent video I posted before talking about the victim mentality, if you leave your standard down here, you want to blame and point the finger at everything else, well, now you've given your power away to everything else. The more that you point the finger and blame, oh, it's society, oh, it's the media, oh, it's the government, oh, it's the state of the world right now. The world is, you know, going to flames, burning up into flames. It's the end of the world. whatever it is that you think, or, oh, it's men are the problem, or no, it's women are the problem. We need to come together and have a resolution-oriented approach. And that's what I've done in my relationships too. I always talk about, let's have a growth approach. Let's come to a resolution here. You know, if we keep coming at each other as people on this planet with this combative energy that's head on like this, again, if I go around like all these red pill guys and say, oh yeah, women are bad, women are the problem, then I give all my power away to, and this goes for anything, right? The government, it's the government's fault. Where is all my power now? I've given it all away to the government, or the whatever it might be. All these things are interchangeable. All these divided labels, you could replace that with anything, right? And so anybody that's going around blaming everything else, you're not in a growth mindset. You are in the opposite. You are devolving. You are allowing that entropy to allow and put you into chaos. I hope that you understand what I'm saying. We don't rise to the level of our wants and desires. We fall to the level of our standards. Hold yourself to a higher standard. Hold yourself accountable for the results you're getting in your life, and watch as your life transforms, because now you're taking the action. Now you're getting out of that denial, and now you are moving in the direction of your dreams, your visions, and your goals. That being said, much love as always, guys. I hope you guys found some value in this video. Drop me with a like, drop me with a comment down below. Hit me with a subscribe if you've not done so already. Let me know if there's any topics that you want me to cover in the coming weeks to come. I'd be happy to do that. I know somebody mentioned covering some more relationship stuff, so I'd be happy to get into that. And if you have any specific questions, let me know down below. That being said, I will see you guys in the next video.